Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple's Chris Larsen. Unclear U.S. regulations hurt innovation. This is the latest piece from AMB Crypto. Chris Larsen, of course, is a Ripple co-founder. And in this article, which really, it actually came from the extended version of the latest video, or what's it called, the Ripple drop. This came from the extended version of that. We got some new quotes from Ripple's co-founder Chris Larsen. He's talking about adoption of crypto and XRP and also regulations. And I always think that his insight into the goings-on in the world of crypto is rather fascinating and enlightening, if you will. So I'm going to run through this story. I've got a couple tweets from the XRP community, and then I will wrap up the video with something that I'm sure if you've been following news at all today, you've perhaps heard about this. So I'm gonna, if not, you should be aware anyway. Take a look at this headline from Cointelegraph.com. Markets crash after reports that Binance's Shanghai office closed in crypto crackdown. So I'm not completely certain. Like, I need to kind of be careful about the way I word this. So this certainly could have had an impact on price, or sped up the direction in which inevitably things were going to go. But I got to cite that in a video, even just as recently as yesterday, where I was talking about price action and what technical analysts were saying was potentially going to happen. A lot of them were saying this direction in terms of price action was really likely anyway. It seems like the majority were really saying that Bitcoin would dip into the 7,000s, and so perhaps this was a catalyst. But I don't know. I'll talk more about that in another video. I just wanted to kind of mention that because it's just there's no way it would not be at the forefront of my mind with what's happened today price wise. And XRP, I checked about an hour ago, and it was somewhere in the 24-cent range. So not as if there's some sort of catastrophic problem with XRP, but again, you know, it's following Bitcoin. There we go. Just tethered price action. I don't know how anyone could deny that. But anyway, yeah, markets crash after reports that Binance's Shanghai office closed in crypto crackdown. So I'll be running through this before I give you the details. Now, before we go any further, though, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, you should most certainly subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. It is the best channel on all of YouTube. Now, that's a fact. You don't believe me? You go ask your mama to tell you the same thing. Let's dig into this piece now. Ripple co-founder Chris Larsen, in a recent interview, highlighted the importance of blockchain and digital assets, while drawing similarities between crypto ecosystem and internet's underlying infrastructure. He stated, quote, and this is a fun comparison, those cryptocurrencies are going to be extremely important for reducing liquidity costs and greasing the wheels of other things of value, like the dollar, yen, RMB. And then the article continues, furthermore, Larsen believed that existing fiat currencies, including dollar, yen, and RMB, would always maintain their dominant position, although they need a digital asset to enable that easy translation from one thing of value to another thing of value. In order to get crypto mainstream, the entrepreneur stressed on the need for regulatory clarity, and he added, quote, that's the part, regulatory clarity, that unfortunately is missing, and in the U.S. market, it's still too confusing, too inconsistent. There are just too many question marks at that, and that really hurts innovation. And that's undeniably true. And it's just it's funny when you look at the nations that are embracing this most wholeheartely. A lot of them, it's like their economies could really use it. And then you've got the United States, and the regulators have acknowledged the risk potentially. Not that they think it's happening anytime soon, but the risk of cryptocurrency potentially supplanting the United States dollar's role in terms of a global reserve currency. And so I don't know if that's part of it. And then you've also got like Hester Pierce, a member of the SEC. She's very famous in the realm of crypto. A lot of people are familiar with that name. And she has cited the fact that she thinks that some of her co-workers, for lack of a better term off the top of my head, at the SEC, they're kind of reluctant to regulate purely because they're worried about their own necks, basically. They're worried about, hey, we regulated, here's what we think should be in place from a regulatory standpoint, and if something goes wrong, who's in trouble? So that's the sentiment that she had shared when asked by actually none other than Ashish Burla. He's a senior vice president at Ripple. What's the timeline looking like in terms of regulatory clarity from the SEC? Anyway. As a direct result, Larsen believed that the investors and innovators resort to moving to other geographical locations. Displaying support towards healthy regulations, he added, quote, "The best system is going to be one that takes in consideration consumer protection for the innovators and also recognize the importance of the job that other regulators, Federal Reserve and Treasury, have." On an end note, Larsen added that while the U.S. need not have less regulation than Switzerland or Singapore, they absolutely need to have as much clarity. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, Moonlabo certainly agrees with that there. And just think about it, because even if you're an innovator, if you have some really brilliant ways that you can change the world, perhaps, with the utilization of the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, if you are fearing for your freedom, as in if you're an innovator, you're worried that perhaps if you go down a route because there's not regulatory clarity that you might end up in jail, maybe you don't do it. Maybe if you're the United States government in that particular case, the lack of clarity is actually stifling development on this. And if anything, hopefully it would still happen, but bad news for the United States in such a scenario. It would happen in other countries, benefiting other countries' economies first and most notably. So I just hope that it all happens in time. I mean, I'm confident it will. I like many of you, I had hoped it would have been further along by now, but it simply isn't. But hey, all good things in time. I'm patient. Here's a tweet from XRP Llama on Twitter. XRP is the future. Don't get upset with price movement. Just know that the people who came in early are in the profits. In a couple of years, everyone who even bought at the highs will be in profit. Yeah, that's true, and that goes back to the concept of, and I usually hear Bitcoin cited when people are talking about this, but it's just the concept that historically, and this actually is true, even if you had bought at each all-time high prior to those 80 and 90% corrections, the 4 or 5 times that they've happened in the 10-year history of Bitcoin, even if you had bought at the all-time high, if you just held, you actually would have made substantially more money than just selling and exiting the market. So even if, and think about that, you're talking about buying at an all-time high and then a retracement of 80 to 90%, and still you would have been substantially better off had you not done that. Well, conceptually what XRP Llama here is saying is the same thing, but with XRP in mind. And none of this is financial advice. I do not have a financial background, but I still suspect this to be a reasonable statement, and I think that XRP is going to be worth a lot more than it is today. And I know that the price of XRP today is purely speculative and has nothing to do with the real-world adoption that's occurring around the XRP ledger and the native digital asset XRP itself, of course. And I do believe, indeed, that utility will win the day. Just let time pass. Let this all play out. All right, next tweet here. This was from Liquidity Index Bot. And I can't remember if I gave a shout-out to whoever recommended that I subscribe. If not, I wish I could remember who it was so I could just give you another shout-out right now. But somebody tagged me on Twitter and suggested that I follow Liquidity Index Bot on Twitter, and I did, and I was scrolling through my Twitter feed a little bit earlier today, and this popped up. And so there's probably going to be another news article about it as a result, but there's new all-time highs all the time. So this is the liquidity index for Bitso, XRP/MXN, showing a 28-day moving trend right here. And as you can see, the all-time high, 6,184,855. And you can barely see it visually, but if you look at the right here, right there, yeah, it hit another all-time high apparently. So I just thought I'd mention it and share that with you, because this tweet came out, several hours ago, roughly 4 or 5 hours ago, whatever it was. So again, I would like to point this out. This is happening thanks to the real-world adoption of XRP as a bridge currency. So despite whatever panic people are feeling today in the markets, and it's resulting in all of this panic selling and all that stuff, there's real-world adoption to be had, and this isn't going away. I just want to say that. All right, last piece for this video. Markets crash after reports that Binance's Shanghai office closed in crypto crackdown. Chinese authorities have reportedly raided and shut down the Shanghai offices of leading cryptocurrency exchange Binance. Citing unnamed local sources, the block says that local police have shut down Binance's offices after raiding the premises. Between 50 and 100 of the exchange's employees reportedly worked out of the Shanghai location. Binance has not responded to Cointelegraph's requests for comment as of press time. The purported raid follows a crackdown on cryptocurrency-related businesses and activities in the country. Recently, financial authorities in China issued a notice to the public directing individuals to report businesses engaged in virtual asset trading to the Shanghai headquarters of the People's Bank of China, the country's central bank. Activities that must be reported include, quote, virtual currency transactions in the territory. The other is to issue XX coins and XX in the form of blockchain application scenarios. Currency, fundraising or Bitcoin, virtual currency such as Ethereum. Third, providing services such as publicity, diversion, agency trading, etc. for registered ICO projects, virtual currency trading platforms, etc. Right? And then, however, Binance told Cointelegraph that the company had not received this notice. Similarly, Beijing-founded Huobi told Cointelegraph that the company was familiar with the notice but had not received it. And so this is what is purported to be the reason for the downward move in price, but it just seems to me like it's speculation on my part, fine, and I'm not a chart analyst, but this isn't purely about charts now. We're talking about something that's a catalyst, and if the direction of price was going to be downward anyway, maybe this really was what was the final straw that broke the camel's back. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about price stuff in a future video, but that's it for this one. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because if anything that I say or write, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!